positivemusician.com.
All right. Hello, and thank you for visiting the Positive Musician. And today we're going to talk about the subject, is slavery still legal in the United States? So we're going to get started by looking at the Constitution of the United States. So as you can see here, we are looking at the 13th Amendment, Section 1. It says, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for a crime, whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction.
Why does the law that protects me have an exception to put me back into slavery?
So just so you'll know where we are, you can view this at constitution.congress.gov/constitution/amendment-13. Or you can just Google 13th Amendment and it'll probably show up. So we're looking at this today because we're going to focus on the part that says neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, because that's basically the same thing. If you did not volunteer to serve a company, a business, or a person, and they're forcing you to work for them, right? That's called slavery and or involuntary servitude, right? But here is the key phrase, except as a punishment for a crime. In other words, if you commit a crime, that's part one, and you as the party to that court case, which would be the defendant, because when you go to court, there is a plaintiff and there is a defendant. If you as the party who is the named defendant get convicted, guess what that means? That means you become a legal slave and they send you to jail and or to the prison. So let me say that again. If you commit a crime, as a punishment for that crime, when you get convicted, you shall exist as a slave in this United States.
If you think I'm about to be your slave, you must be smoking some real shiznit.
So I'm emphasizing this today because slavery is still legal if you're in jail. If you go to prison, you are a legal slave, no different than you would have been if you were a so-called Negro, black, or colored, right? Because those are simply labels, right? Not ethnicities. Yes, Negro, black, and colored is just that. It's a label. It is a label. That is not the name of a true name for human beings. But anyway, you know who I'm talking about. Black people in this country. Just like you would have been a slave before the Civil War had you lived in the South. If you go to prison, you're a slave again today. And guess what? If you're Caucasian or any other ethnicity and you get convicted of a crime, that means you too now are a legal slave.
Wait. I'm not sure I understand. Do you mean that I would be a slave too?
And what about those people who get convicted and they're actually innocent? And you find out 5 years later, 10 years later, 20 years. One of the worst cases I heard was a man who was in prison for about 40 years for a murder and or rape that he did not commit. And the DNA evidence of something that they finally looked at, right, which they should have done long before that, he was innocent. So the answer is yes, slavery is still legal in the United States if you commit a crime, or unfortunately, if you get convicted of a crime you did not commit, you're still a slave.
Stay free now. You don't wanna be a slave, sitting up in prison and wasting all your days. Stay free now.
So now that we have established the fact that if you go to prison and you are convicted, right, or should I say if you get convicted of a crime and you go to prison for whatever reason, for the duration of your incarceration, you will be a slave legally, according to the 13th Amendment of the Constitution. So the next video will be on the topic of for-profit prisons. So we're just going to read a small excerpt about it here. And the next video coming up will be on the topic of private prisons, which are for-profit prisons. This is an article from Investopedia, which says the business model of private prisons. The U.S. criminal justice system incarcerated approximately 2.1 million people in 2019. These people are incarcerated for a multitude of different crimes, ranging from drug possession and petty larceny to grand theft auto and murder. In order to adequately house incarcerated individuals in the future, should numbers increase, watch this, facilities must be ready. So they got to get prisons ready, just like you get a new apartment complex or some condominiums or a real estate development ready. They got to get ready because they know you're coming. See, that's why I put out the song, Stay Free.
Stay free now. You don't wanna be a slave, sitting up in prison and wasting all your days. Stay free now.
But you can check that out on this channel, the Positive Musician, Stay Free official music video. That means stay free from prison. That's what the song is about. All right. So key takeaways for this subject of private prisons. Bullet point 1, the criminal justice system in America relies on private prisons in part to house its inmates. Bullet point 2, private prisons are contracted by state or local governments to run facilities rather than having the government own and operate prisons themselves. Point 3, critics have argued that criminal justice should be a wholly public affair and that private for-profit motives can lead to unjust conditions and corruptions. And it actually can. Because if you're a for-profit prison, that means you need people to stay locked up so you can continue to make your money. So that's all for this video. Thank you for tuning in. If you appreciate this content, then please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And I'll be coming out with more positive music videos as well as more positive information from the Positive Musician. So stay free, stay out of prison. Check that video out. It's also on Spotify and Amazon and Apple Music and on all major streaming platforms. We're trying to put out some positive energy here, right? We want to put out positivity and truth. There's nothing cool about being a gangster, especially after you have murdered somebody, especially one of your own people, and you sitting in prison as a slave. Peace and love.
positivemusician.com